Okay, so welcome to week 5. It is currently June 21st, 2025 at 12:40 p.m. I'm doing this a little bit earlier because I need to do stuff. And actually we'll get into that. We'll get into that. This week, so like we're in week 5 and I think like I hit a point, like a pretty big breaking point. So basically I don't even know how to start this. Damn. It's because, like, to be fair, I feel like throughout the course of the entire, I guess for like the past 5 weeks or so, today, like, I don't know. Like, this week just it feels very different compared to how everything else was before. And it all is just kind of hitting me how far I've gone. I guess like when it comes to like my mental space and where I was at a few weeks ago. I did do the artist, the artist date. I went to the movies by myself because I don't know. I've only done that once beforehand, so and I really enjoyed that experience. And I enjoyed this one too. I got like movie tickets for like $1 because they were like re-showing another movie that I was, yeah, whatever. My movie theater's awesome. It was great. And then I went like just like browsing around the fucking mall since it was like close by, and I was like might as well. And so with that being said, yeah, morning pages, I did them. I did yesterday's a little late though, but I still did it. It was because they like the food I slept in and like food was ready and I was like, fuck yeah. You know I'm about to fucking eat, I'm hungry. And like it completely left my mind that I was supposed to do the fucking morning page. And I was like, oh shit, my bad. But I still did it. Um anyways, let's just cut to the chase. So like I know this isn't necessarily like strictly related to the things that we covered in chapter 5, but then again I never fucking talk about that, so like what am I yapping about, bro? Like shut the fuck up. So basically I come to the realization that like I'm really not the person who I was like these past like I guess like from like week 0 I'm a completely different person, or at least that's it feels like I'm becoming that. I don't know how far I've literally gone over the course of just like 5 weeks, but I already can tell that I'm a lot more self aware of like my patterns, the things that I thought my door open. That scared the fuck out of me. No, it was the AC. But like I just feel like I've gone over like I don't know. I don't want to say that like this whole time I thought I was over shit and I wasn't, but that's kind of what happened, right? And it's just it's intense because I guess over the last few like specifically there was a week where I mentioned that like I was having like relationship issues, or like there was like a bunch of people wanting to pursue me. Crazy. Look at this, bro. I'm over here in an oversized t-shirt. My hair is all fucked up. Well, it's not fucked up. It's just curly. But well, it's wavy. But it's just I guess like I cared a lot about how like what people thought of me, and how like I would always make sure I made a good impression on people, and I took high priority in making sure I made like everyone think I wasn't something that I wasn't. So I would go out of my way to be like an overly nice person to the point where I would take away a lot of focus of like self-care, self-love, time alone. Like it was just like how can I word this? It was just I cared too much about other people to really give time for myself and recognize that my feelings and my thoughts are important too. And it would get to the point where I would realize something was wrong within a connection, and I wouldn't do anything about it, and I would develop this like resentment towards a person. And the moment that like they would do something that would make me break was the moment I would do something I would regret. And I, of course, like I like even like to the point like I still feel bad for like how I act. Obviously, I think that's just like a like expected, you know? But I don't know, it's I don't want to I keep thinking I'm hearing shit. Like I don't want to feel like I'm being like an asshole, but then again, a part of me kind of wants to be because I am a pushover, or I used to be, and it's recently I there was a guy who, you know, a few weeks ago he was trying to, you know, get in a relationship with me, and I didn't really want to do that. I haven't been in a relationship for a year, like over a year. So it's just like I don't really want to. I a part of me is scared because my whole life I've been in a relationship. Like since I was in middle school, I was in a relationship nonstop. And like the longest I would be without a relationship is like a week at most. I was chronically dating in relationships because I didn't like to be by myself. I didn't like the thought of being alone and having to deal with all that inner turmoil that comes with having to sit with yourself. And it's just, I was a very, I went through a lot as a kid, so it was like a way of escaping, I guess, like family issues. I would surround myself with connections that weren't from my family, and thus it kind of made me codependent, insecure, and highly dependable on other people that didn't really have the best intentions for me. So I was like, you know, yeah, forgot where I was with this whole conversation, but it's just that like now where I'm at, like yeah, okay, I remember now. So yeah, I've been single. This is the most I've been single for in a very long time, and my whole life I've just been consumed with relationships, and I would lose who like a sense of identity, who I was, and I would never really give myself the time of day to actually learn who I am. So there was little to no autonomy with me for the longest time. And the moment that like this eventually led to me having no friends. So I would just be overly consumed by a romantic partner, and that was my life for so long. I've lost friendships. I'm pretty sure, like in the transition from me going into like from me in middle school going to high school, especially with COVID. After that, I had no physical friends around me, so I was just constantly isolated throughout most of my high school years, and even then, like with COVID, it didn't help that like around half of my semester, like for my like during ninth grade, it was COVID. The whole entire year for 10th grade, we just didn't go. So it was purely online. And then for 10th, I was homeschooled for a bit because my dad was a little bit anti-vax, and like we just couldn't go. Like he didn't want me to go. I didn't really have a say or choice in it, and I understand his position and why he did it, but at the same time, I didn't give a shit. I just wanted to take the fucking vaccine and go to school, man. I just want to physically go. And turns out, like, I did that for like half the semester. And then when I went back during the spring portion of the semester, my counselors were like, oh, we can't accept these credits. So I had to, like, they took me out of honors in AP classes, and I was put into regular classes while I was also taking a, I guess like some sort of course that like helped me recover the lost credits for that one part of the semester. And I was also having to balance that out with like having to study for the history exams, like I'm from Texas, so they're called STAR tests, so it's just like a state exam that like you have to pass or you don't graduate or like go to the next level or whatever. And then for senior year, I had surgery that didn't like I think it was like in October or like November. It was like somewhere around that time. So like after that, I did not return until January because of my recovery. Like my stitches popped and everything. It was messy. It was bad. And I was in a pharmacy program and they took me out because I wasn't able to like my teacher had like did partially my fault. I didn't really care for the class. I was very at that point. I was like kind of like recognizing that I didn't want to pursue a career in the health field. So I was just like very frustrated. I was very mean. I was dealing with an awful relationship at that time that had lasted for like 7 years on and off, and it was very toxic and I don't want to say abusive, but it kind of like was like emotionally abusive. It was very fucked up the things that I went through in that connection. And I was clearly unhealed and yeah, so it was really messy. So and then the teacher wouldn't actively communicate the things that I had to do. So it was just, I ended up getting like kicked out of that program. I ended up just taking like one of the basic regular medical classes, and I was a teacher assistant for the special needs students in my school. It was a great experience, and it also gave me like time because the teacher who I was helping, he also kind of helped me out with like giving me the confidence to pursue what I wanted to pursue, which was art. Anyways, I'm like going off on a tangent. This isn't what I was gonna discuss this video, but yeah. So anyways, yeah. Like I said, I had been single for a long time, and I had been so used to being consumed by relationships and just having and following these patterns that had like done me so dirty this like my whole life. And it's just with like this connection that I had recently stumbled in upon, I kind of like expected and knew what was going to happen, but I still gave them a chance. I gave them an opportunity when I knew I shouldn't have, when I felt that this connection wasn't really going to go anywhere, and it didn't. I felt like, there was potential though. That's the thing. And I give people the benefit of the doubt because if I were in their shoes and I was suffering through the same things that they were going through, and I was granted like a relationship that would last a lifetime, I would do anything to achieve that, right? And I'm sure, I don't know what was going through their heads. All I know is that they didn't necessarily care for my like well-being and my boundaries, because I perfectly stated that I needed time, I needed patience, I didn't want to rush into anything, and they were so quick to try and like get whatever it is that they wanted, right? And it sucked. it I let it like they essentially manipulated me, and partially I kind of blame myself for kind of giving in to like something that I knew was like bullshit. But he made me believe that maybe I needed to change, that I needed to grow, because I was the one who was broken. I was the one with the issues. I was the one who was scared. And I was scared. So that's why I also partially believed in what he was telling me. And eventually that kind of broke me down. And whenever the first time that I had let my boundaries falter, he made me feel like I guess that I was, yeah, he just made me feel like I was the one who was like broken. And then I slept that night and I woke up the next day pissed, like genuinely mad. And I communicated that to him, that I had felt like he didn't respect me or my boundaries, and that I wanted someone to try accommodating for me, like accommodate to me for once. That's what I wanted, because I had been changing how I act, who I was, what I felt comfortable with for other people my entire life. And I was being as vulnerable as I could, which was surprising. Especially like considering how I hadn't known him for that long and how I get like I normally wouldn't do that. Basically just in general. I would keep it in and then once it felt like I wasn't really getting anywhere, I would just explode and then I would let the same thing happen all over again. And well, I explained that to him and you know, he kind of like he apologized. He tried to make it like seem that like he had issues with like what I was asking for, saying that oh well like basically back then whenever I had to deal with this and that, this made me feel like this and that, and that's why I don't feel like doing this and that. And that kind of went over my head at the time, and I gave in to like, you know, you know, and it felt like for a second that night when it did like everything did go down, it made me kind of realize that like he like there I wasn't getting anywhere and that I was repeating like the same cycle, but like during that time I really expected and thought that something would have grown from it, but then again I went to sleep. I woke up the next morning engulfed with fucking rage. I had never been so mad at someone. And I couldn't tell if it was being mad at me or if it was him. And like a part of me wants to think it was a little bit of both. And it's just I was very like once that happened, everything just started clicking. The whole disrespect overall that I get through like many of the friends that I do come in contact with. And that's another reason why I don't really have a big social circle. I don't really talk to anybody. I don't interact with a lot of people. And when I do, I tend to I don't want to say I like ghost them. It's not that I ghost them or I want to. Maybe I do. It's so hard for me to connect to people, and it's a part of me really wants to have that connection with someone, whether it's romantic or platonic. At this point, I just want to have people that understand me and don't treat me like shit. Is that too much to fucking ask for? Like, damn. It's, I don't know. Like, it might be. It might be. Probably not. It's just that, like I said, since high school, after the whole COVID thing or during the whole COVID thing, I just like have had very little friends. And I, not to say that like I've never encountered anyone ever my whole life since this point. No, it's like I find so many people that I think will be there for like for the rest of my life, and then they do something or they act a certain way around me, and the moment I decide to acknowledge it and tell them up front like, hey, you're being this way and it's bothering me, then it becomes an issue, and then people get defensive, and eventually everything goes to shit basically. And it's so stupid. It's really, I don't know, like and it's gone to the point where I wonder maybe I'm the problem, but then I feel like the only problem I have is like letting things go on for so long, or for like believing that people can, like, people can change, but I think it's just to the extent that I take it to. It's like I pour so much energy trying to make someone become better than who they are now, and instead of just like realizing that like, hey, you can't change people. You can't change how a person is. Like maybe like you can influence them a certain way, but you can't fully change who they are to become better. That is something that they have to decide, and that is something that I believe I've completely come to terms with. And it's like I knew I couldn't really do those kinds of things, clearly, if I've like gone through the same cycle over and over again. But I think I'm done with the people pleasing. I'm done with accommodating for others, for being manipulated, for not setting strong enough boundaries. I mean, I set the boundaries, but it's so hard for me to stick by them because I want people to feel comfortable. I want people to, you know, not feel like they have to like force anything when they're with me. But like it's gone to the point where I'm just like so fed up. I'm so tired of it. And you know, these past 2 weeks, I feel like, especially these past 2 weeks, I've just grown like super bold, and like I've been upright with people and telling them how I feel, and if they don't bother listening, I just cut them off. That's exactly what I did. I've cut off like a handful of people this week because of these like the lack of the lack of respect that they have towards me, and the fact that they think that I should be the one to accommodate to them and their needs whenever it's like convenient, yet whenever it's my time to talk, they just want to like shut me out and like turn the blind eye. Is that the saying? Give me the blind eye. Yeah, whatever, you know what I mean. Like they just like they don't really give a shit, and that's like the truth of it all. I have very few people who I can talk to now. Like I'm pretty sure I only have like one friend, and like my cousin, and that's it. Like damn, like I would love a larger friend group, but it just like it never seems to really happen. It never seems to really happen. I've like I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I've elaborated on this, but like I've just like I don't know. It's just overall it's a very shitty experience. I'm yapping so much. I realize I've been going on for like 21 minutes. My bad. But yeah, no, that's essentially, I feel like I've said everything I needed to say, but I'm just outgrowing all these like bad habits that I've like developed over the course of the years just because I want people to be happy, and I can be happy with other people. I can help others, but not to the extent to where I'm sacrificing myself and my energy and power for like, especially for the sake of someone who doesn't even have the willpower to change. Like what point is there in doing all that when they're not putting in any effort, and I'm the one carrying the whole fucking connection, the whole relationship, the whole friendship? It gets so tiring very quickly, and I'm fed up. I really am, and I'm kind of happy that I made this change. And I guess like also seeing it all unravel within the morning pages as well, like just like looking over the things that I'm discussing, the topics that like mainly like I'm deriving from these like morning pages and everything. It's just so, it's empowering to know that I'm changing. And if I'm next week, we're going into week 6, and that's like the halfway point, and it's just like I can only imagine what I'm gonna be like when I finish this, because I'm not gonna stop now. There is no point in stopping now, right? I think the only issue that I have that I need to really dig into, get to the meat of, is like the perfectionist part of me, right? And actually taking action to create something, because I feel like I'm trying to, I don't want to give myself any excuse for not creating as much as I would like to, but I honestly think it's because like I distract myself with people so much to the point where like whenever I meet someone or I have a connection with someone, it is so hard for me to actually do what it is that I want to do on my own, because I want to just constantly be with someone and have them around, admittedly. And it's like, it eats me up alive knowing that I haven't really worked on my project as much as I would like to. But when the time does come, it's like, I feel burnt out. I feel tired. I feel this. I feel that. I feel emotionally drained. And it's like, I don't want to consider that an excuse, but it physically enables me, and I want to overcome that. And I think that's really like the big issue that I'm facing right now. It's just like the perfectionism of wanting everything to be exact in how I envision it. Even like to the point where it becomes a little bit destructive, and I don't really accomplish anything. And I have the type of perfectionism where I like become so overwhelmed with like the concepts of like the things that I want to execute, to the point where I just don't do anything at all. And that's like, you know, I want to stop that. Which I guess it also ties into the like whole what I was saying earlier, the perfectionism and the not doing anything part of like what I was saying. Yeah. But anyway, I think we're done yapping. I think we're done yapping. This week was intense. These past few weeks have been intense. It was just I kind of had to like blurt it all out because the last few videos were pretty short, right? It just wasn't really connecting. But now that like I kind of released and let go of everything, it's all kind of I'm reflecting on like everything that I went through. So yeah, I think we're done here. I hope you guys have like a great morning, evening, afternoon. I like fucked that up, night, whatever. Anyways, all right, all right. I'll see you guys later, and by later I mean next Sunday. Bye bye.